The marine world is a vast and diverse ecosystem, home to countless creatures that have evolved to thrive in its depths. Each organism has carved out its ecological niche, adapting to the vast, endless blue. However, the ocean's boundless opportunities have also attracted some surprising colonizers, including reptiles. Despite their air-breathing physiology, reptiles have managed to invade marine environments repeatedly throughout history. While they may not have achieved the same dominance as their ancient Mesozoic ancestors, they continue to survive and adapt in the oceans today. Reptiles, with over 8,000 species worldwide, are a highly successful group. However, only about 100 species can be classified as marine reptiles. While they retain many of the defining features of reptiles, such as tough, scaly skin, these marine dwellers have also developed unique anatomical and physiological adaptations that allow them to thrive in the oceanic environment. Let's dive deeper into the fascinating world of marine reptiles. Let's examine the case of marine iguanas, a reptile species endemic to the Galapagos Islands. They evolved from land iguanas in order to make the most of the abundant food found off the shores of the islands. Each day, they enter the waters, using their long, sideways flattened tails to move, and their long, sharp claws to grip onto rocks so as to not be swept away by heavy currents. Their short, blunt snouts and strong, three-cusped teeth are excellent for scraping algae off the rocks. But on their own, these anatomical adaptations are not enough to ensure the survival of the marine iguana. Like many reptiles, they are ectothermic, meaning cold-blooded, so their body temperature depends on the temperature of their surroundings. The waters around Galapagos are cold, posing a significant problem to marine iguanas. So, to regulate their temperature and stay alive, they use behavioral mechanisms like basking in the sun for considerable periods after feeding at sea. Their dark-colored skin helps absorb as much warmth as possible. The cold conditions of the oceans are not the only challenge marine reptiles have had to overcome. Perhaps the greatest problem they face is that of salt and water balance. How to get rid of excess salt. An issue not faced by most terrestrial reptiles. Sea turtles cry away the salt through their eyes via modified tear glands, producing gooey tears that stream down their faces. The large amount of salt they extract via this method means that sea turtles can survive by drinking seawater alone, never needing to visit freshwater lakes or rivers to drink like crocodiles or marine iguanas do. This adaptation suits their lifestyle as wanderers of the open ocean that return to land only to lay eggs. The sea snake, on the other hand, is able to get sufficient fresh water when it rains, as the lighter freshwater briefly floats on the surface. Sea snakes live their entire lives at sea, where they feed, rest, and reproduce. They have become wholly reliant on the oceans, to such an extent that they have lost the broad belly scales that allow most terrestrial snakes to move over the ground. On land, sea snakes are helpless. This also highlights the distinction between sea snakes and sea kraits, the latter of which are also adapted to life in the oceans, but retain the belly scales and the ability to move on land. Both have flattened paddle-like tails for swimming through open water, but even this does not allow them to move fast enough to pursue prey in the open. Instead, many sea snakes feed on bottom dwellers and burrowing fish like eels. In fact, their interactions with eels has possibly led to an evolutionary arms race. Sea snakes use venom to subdue prey, but the immunity of some eels means snakes require stronger venom. This explains the extreme toxicity of sea snake venom, making them among the most venomous of all snakes. The deadly nature of sea snakes has been taken advantage of by another organism known as the banded snake eel, a fish species that has adapted to look almost exactly like the sea krait. So, despite it being harmless, the eel will be avoided by predators, giving it a major advantage. This phenomenon is known as Batesian mimicry. Sea snakes are also excellent at diving. Their thin skin allows them to absorb some oxygen from the water, helping them overcome the challenge of accessing sufficient oxygen while submerged. Turtles are less proficient at this, but like diving mammals, they can slow their heartbeat and direct the flow of blood away from non-essential organs and towards the brain to conserve oxygen. The lungs of sea turtles are far more complex than those found in most reptiles and are able to store sufficient oxygen for longer dives. Sea turtles travel far and wide during their lives, but once mature, the females will migrate thousands of miles to lay their eggs at the site where they themselves were hatched. They are thought to rely on sophisticated means of navigation, making use of biological compasses to maintain direction in the open ocean. Once they arrive, they haul their heavy bodies above the high tide line, laboriously dig a meter-deep hole in the sand using their front flippers, before laying up to 100 eggs in the chamber they dug. After concealing them beneath the sand, the turtles return to the open ocean. These mass nesting events show how well-adapted turtles really are to life in the oceans. Their long flippers and flattened shells may prove cumbersome on land, but the success of marine turtles is due to the way these adaptations allow them to move quickly and efficiently through the water, and even take part in long-distance migrations. While sea turtles will not return to their eggs once laid, another kind of marine reptile is far more attentive of its brood. In Florida, the saltwater crocodile will lay her eggs in a mound of mud along the banks of a river or estuary. Unlike turtles, lizards, and all other reptiles, she will not abandon the nest but remain nearby to fend off predators. Highly sensitive ears pick up the calls of hatchlings, signaling the crocodile to excavate the nest, gently pick up her young in her mouth, and carry them to the water. The highly varied anatomies and behaviors of marine reptiles demonstrates the many different ways in which they have sought to colonize the oceans. In direct contrast to their land-dwelling relatives, marine reptiles appear cumbersome on land and at ease in the marine world with their streamlined bodies. This highlights the extraordinary ability of life to adapt to very different habitats and conditions by adopting just a few small changes. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the depths of our planet.